This is an introduction to the basic features of Preschool First for teachers who are new to the system. For the next few minutes, we'll learn about the Preschool First features that you'll use most often, and we'll see how they can become part of your everyday routine. Preschool First follows a teaching and learning cycle that makes reflecting on progress, planning activities and learning experiences, observing and assessing developmental behaviors, and reporting progress easy, whether you're working with a class or an individual child. Let's get started. When you first log in, you arrive on the Start page. It provides a quick look at information about your teaching and children. Things like correspondence exchanged with families and when observations were made. There is a link to the weekly plan and a place to see any program announcements. There is also a place to ask questions, learn about updates, and find information about Preschool First trainings. Across the top of the Start page, you will notice the following navigation tabs: Your Class, Your Children, and Your Resources. Let's begin by looking at the tabs for Classes and Children. Clicking on the Your Class tab brings up a page with a green sidebar menu. Use the sidebar menu to decide, what do I want to do with this class or group? Reflect on the group's progress? Plan and prepare play experiences? Observe and enter observations made as children engage in activities? Or report progress based upon observations entered? In a similar way, if you want to work with a child, click on the Your Children tab to see a red sidebar menu. Select a child to work with, then ask, what do I want to do with this child? Reflect on this child's progress? Plan learning experiences and individualized curriculum for this child? Prepare to observe and enter observations for this child? Or review and report individual progress based upon observations entered? The sidebar menus for Your Class and Your Children are very similar. Each has the same steps in the teaching and learning cycle. They differ only in the details of the way you work when planning for a group or when individualizing instruction. Preschool First offers lots of information to help you as you move through this cycle. Throughout Preschool First, you can click on a sidebar menu button to display a page with information regarding that option. For example, the Plan Learning Experiences button provides information about planning. Click the toggle arrow to open the pods and display information about each of the options for that menu item. In this example, you can learn about age ranges, domains, activity types, and learning activity layouts. Most pages also have a Help button in the top right of the dark blue bar. Click this Help button to read specific info about a page. Need more help? Type a question and we'll send you an email with an answer. Now let's look at the first step in the Preschool First teaching and learning cycle, reflecting on a snapshot of previous observations and progress. Preschool First provides snapshots of the progress of an entire class and for each child. To plan for and work with a class or group of children, click on the Your Class tab at the top of the page. If you work with more than one class, select a class. Clicking on the Class Snapshot button in the green sidebar menu shows a page with any class announcements and a progress overview for this class, showing areas in which the class has had the most growth and areas in which there is still opportunity for growth and development. This process is the same when you're working with an individual child. Select the Your Children tab from the top menu. Then click on the Child button in the red sidebar menu to choose a child's name. Clicking on the Child Snapshot button shows a page with any alerts for this child and a progress summary. The progress summary shows the domains in which the child has the most progress and the most yet to learn. Now that we've learned our way around, let's examine how planning works for a class and then for individual children. Preschool First lets you plan by developmental behavior for any class or child, and by theme for children 18 months and older. Let's look at planning by theme first. To plan by theme, first select a theme from the drop-down menu. There are 5 types of Preschool First activities, each designed for a particular classroom setting. Narrow your search by selecting an activity type and clicking Find Activities. A list of matching activities that use behaviors appropriate for the children in this class will appear, organized by age range. Click the blue toggle arrow to see the full activity. When planning an activity, you'll see a set of icons next to the activity name. These let you manage your planning. You can bookmark an activity to save for later, and it will be saved in a list of activities bookmarked for this class. These will appear under the Prepare to Observe and the Enter Observations buttons. To schedule the activity in a weekly plan, click the clock icon and use the pop-up screen to schedule the activity in the weekly class plan. The activity title automatically displays. Choose a date for the activity and select a learning center in which to offer the activity in the classroom. There are options to repeat an activity or to add notes that will appear on the weekly plan. Click Submit to save the activity to the weekly plan. Every activity is printable in case you need a paper copy. If your subscription allows access to Preschool First's by Standard Framework option, the checkmark icon will show the alignment of this activity to your state's Pre-K-4 standards and the Head Start framework. This can be printed and posted. Click the eye icon to see an observation sheet for the behaviors in this activity that are appropriate for the children in this class. Preschool First will indicate if a behavior is already mastered or if it is not applicable for a child based upon his or her age. You can also plan by behavior for either classes or children. Preschool First's behaviors are a set of over 500 specific developmental items that typically developing children should master before kindergarten. They are in a numerical sequence, and Preschool First divides them into 6 developmental domains. To plan by behavior, you choose which behaviors, domains, and age ranges to include in the search. Then click Find to display a list of behaviors appropriate for this class with their criteria and age range. For each behavior, you can see how many children have not mastered the behavior, and then click to see which children are still learning this behavior. Click the Related Activities link to see a list of activities to choose from for this class. You can then use the planning icons to bookmark, add to the weekly plan, or check the alignment with standards. If your subscription level allows access to the By Standard Framework option, the Head Start framework links to an interactive alignment with behaviors and activities. State Pre-K-4 Early Learning Standards link to an interactive alignment with behaviors and activities based upon your state early learning standards or guidelines. Click the Head Start Framework option to find related Preschool First behaviors and activities. Click on a blue link to bring up a page with the behaviors, themes, or activities that align with that standard. In this example, there are 2 complete themes, 1 entire activity type, 7 Preschool First behaviors, and 31 specific activities that support children's development for this Head Start domain element. And if your subscription level includes the state Pre-K alignment, finding activities to support your state's Pre-K early learning standards works in a similar way. Click on a blue link under one of the broader domains or categories to view the behaviors and content that support this early learning standard. Click to see specific activities and use the planning icons to bookmark or schedule the activities as previously described. Planning typically involves selecting several activities to use over the next week or two. Preschool First also lets you plan using subject matter strands, developmental topics, or activities from your own program's collection. See the user guide for more information on these features. Let's review what we've planned so far. Go to the weekly plan. Notice that the activities planned for the class appear in green. The weekly plan has the days of the week across the top and the learning centers on the left side column. The learning centers offered depends on the age range for the class. To plan for an individual child, from the Your Children tab, click on the Plan Learning Experiences button in the red sidebar menu. This menu lets you plan individualized instruction. Use the options under the Plan Learning Experiences section to look for activities specific to the behaviors this child is still learning, to quickly check if there are any red flag behaviors for this child. These are behaviors a child typically will have mastered by his current age. Or to find family engagement activities that families can do at home to support their child's development. To plan by behavior, use the drop-down menus to filter the list of behaviors. Select all or one domain, select the age range, and click Find. You will see the behaviors this child is still learning or has not yet mastered. When planning instruction, you should generally select behaviors with lower numbers first. Children typically master these first, and they form the basis for the later behaviors, which are more complex and may require a child to combine skills or abilities learned from earlier behaviors. To see a list of activities for a behavior, click the Find Related Activities link. Review this section to select an activity for this child. As when searching for activities for a class, click on the blue toggle arrow to open and read the full activity. And use the icons to bookmark or to schedule the activity for this child. When scheduling from the child's page, the activity will appear on the weekly plan with the child's name. The other options on the Child tab are the same as those on the Class tab. If your subscription level allows access to the standards, use the checkmark icon to see which standards this activity is aligned. All subscribers use the I icon to see the observation sheet for this child and this activity. At the top of the child's observation sheet, there's an option to see the entire class. Even though you selected this activity for one child, there may be others whom you can also observe. You can print this observation sheet or open it again later when preparing to observe or entering observations. Preschool First also lets you plan using behaviors that have been red flagged, because typically these behaviors should have already been mastered. Or by using activities for family engagement. You'll find more information about these features in the Preschool First User's Guide. If your subscription level allows access to the alignment to the Head Start framework and State Early Learning Standard options, you can also find activities that align with these standards for children 30 months or older. This works the same way as it does when planning for the class. To see the interactive alignment of Preschool First behaviors and activities, click the Head Start Framework option or the State Early Learning Standard option. Click on a link under a broader domain or category to view the behaviors or content that support this early learning standard. The system will indicate if the behavior has already been mastered by this child. Click to see related activities. Then bookmark or schedule as you would any other activity. Now let's review what we've planned so far. Go to the weekly plan to review what has been planned for the class and for individual children. On the weekly plan, Notice that activities planned for Farah appear in italicized red font. Activities planned for a child appear in red italic font. Activities planned for the class appear in green. Remember that if you open the weekly plan from the child's page, any experiences you add will be for that child. Now you've learned the basics of the first two steps in the teaching and learning cycle, reflecting and planning. In part 2 of this introduction, we'll introduce you to observing and reporting.